Hey, this is Cornelius Lindsey, and welcome to the Silent Majority. You know, with growing partisan distaste amongst many voters, there's a silent majority that's growing that doesn't find a home in either of America's two major political parties. People don't know how to identify themselves, and a large number of people are simply not voting. Of all the voters, many people are just unsatisfied with either the candidates or the system. This silent majority is growing, and we have something to say. Welcome to the Silent Majority. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Silent Majority. This here is Cornelius Lindsey. I'm so excited to have you with me. We're doing coverage of the Republican National Convention over the next 4 days. This is night one. I'm so excited to have a dear brother of mine, Mr. Stephen Ivey, to join me. Stephen, you there?
I'm here, man. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. So glad to have you here, man. So glad to have this conversation with Stephen. Welcome to the Silent Majority. You are entering the fray, and I know you got something to say, my brother. So it was interesting. You texted me last week, and you were like, "Yo, I need to be on there because I got some stuff I want to say." So now you're on here, no holds barred, holding nothing back. Thankfully, all of my sponsors and everybody else, they give me free reins to be able to say whatever I want to say. So you got that too. I have no idea.
Would do that?
I don't know. It's not a wise move, but they're learning me. But they're learning me, and somebody will pay for it soon. They'll be okay. So, man, okay. So, first night Republican National Convention. Tell me your thoughts.
Man, you know, here's the thing. You know, I heard the first few podcasts from the DNC that you did. And, you know, there were mixed reviews, right? But one of the things that I remember specifically is the comments were like, "Hey, man, the DNC, man, come on, how boring could this be?" I just got to tell you, this for me, this was a total snooze fest for literally 90% of it. Now there were some moments, but for the most part, man, I just did not get a lot of energy out of it. I didn't get a lot of enthusiasm out of it. And almost I walked away, and again, I'm objective, just so that the listeners don't know me. They don't know my stances politically or anything. I'm a registered Democrat, but I'm also very much a moderate, and I also vote my conscience and my faith. I'm not sold, in other words, on a political party. So let's just get that out there.
Right.
So I really do try to listen objectively and listen to things. And honestly, I walked away almost with a sense of this is less about bringing people together and more about just taking the gloves off and let's just give it to Biden as much as we can. That's how I felt walking away from it, man.
Yeah. Well, last week I had some people who told me, it was like, I vehemently, disagree with the thought that it was boring, that it was this. I just don't think you were engaged with it. I don't think they were speaking what you want them to say. And people said that they were not happy that I said what I said, but I still said what I said, and I stand behind what I said. And I don't change what I said for anybody. But when I watched this thing tonight, I was watching to look for contrast. And one thing about Donald Trump is Donald Trump's been in television. So I was looking for something that was blockbuster. I was looking for, I was looking for the over the top. I was looking for the motion, that motion picture. I was looking for the production. I was looking for, The Apprentice. This is what I was looking for. But what I did get contrasting messages. And the same way that I listened. I thought the DNC was boring in some places, but here's the thing. I still listen to the speeches. I listened to the speeches. I took notes the same way tonight. I listened to the speeches objectively and I took notes. There were just certain things that were said throughout it. Now, before we got to this point, the whole talk of the town was that this is going to be uplifting and this is going to be encouraging and this is going to be, we're really reaching out to the American people to be encouraging and providing an uplifting message. But there are some key words that I continue to hear throughout the entire conference.
I bet I can start them off to you.
Please. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The number one, we can probably say it together. Cancel culture.
Oh, okay. Yep. Cancel culture was in there. Cancel culture is definitely in there.
It was in every
cancel culture was in there.
I heard cancel culture so much that I literally was like, if I hear this one more time. Yeah. And what's interesting about what you're saying is that I don't even think that these are their words. Like, in other words, I think these words belong to the one person not invited to the party.
Well,
Candace Owens.
Well, and yes, she does not have a spot. She does not now. I don't know if she's gonna have a cameo in it, but I mean, there are other words that I heard, like, I heard socialist a lot.
Yeah.
I heard Marxist a lot, which I was very surprised to hear that on the first night. I heard anti-law enforcement. I heard the one word defund.
Yes.
I was very much surprised and shocked that I did not hear more people kind of talking on the record, because typically an incumbent wants to talk about their, his record, and then talk about, like, from my record, this is where we're going to continue to go. Mm-hmm. Here tonight, I didn't hear as many people talking about, the record. And that's right. That's what I was hoping that the Republicans and President Trump were going to really pull on. Now, did you see him with the interviews with the different people, like the people who just kind of stand, like he had the janitor, and
COVID.
he had the two people who was like, yeah, well, I had COVID and I recovered. And I was like, well, okay, well, so I don't get it. What we supposed to do? Like, they recovered. I was like, okay. And he's like, well, you're good, because, so now, your plasma is good.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Do you feel like he did that in like a direct opposition to the comments that were made from the DNC, to the point of, like, the girl, the young lady who said her father died from COVID, and now he's parading people who survived.
Well, I mean, absolutely, because they want to. The DNC wants to paint President Trump with a failure on COVID. If you notice, I mean, and here's the thing, and I talk about this. I talk about this with Democrats, Independents, Republicans.
Yeah,
there's not much that you can really pin on President Trump when it comes to the economy. After COVID-19, the economy did what it did. We shut down the country.
Right.
It's not. I mean, when you talk about unemployment rates, they talk about those things tonight. Unemployment rates were lower amongst African Americans, among Black and brown people. You had criminal justice reform. You had things that he campaigned on. He actually delivered on. But then when you had COVID-19 that happened and hit, it's like, now we're gonna put COVID-19 on you, and the one big thing that I felt like the Democrats did well, where they sought to jump up on his rhetoric, and my issue here is, and the one thing that I asked, as an independent voter, as an independent thinker, I asked the question, what is it that you're like? What is it that they're going to run on when Joe Biden stands up to debate Donald Trump? Is this going to be an issue of rhetoric versus record? Because if it's an issue of record, then let's talk about his record and versus Joe Biden's record of 47 years. If this is an issue of rhetoric, then we already know President Trump ain't got the best rhetoric. I mean, he was so awkward standing there with the people. Even he was sitting down and talking with the people that he freed from all these different countries, Turkey and all these places. And I thought, it seemed forced,
Right.
It seemed extremely forced. And I agree. I don't know. And
I agree. It's interesting that you say rhetoric versus record, right? So we know that the rhetoric is outlandish. We know that the rhetoric is out of control. And he, as a president, right, we can say that that's not something that, as a leader, right, we would ever want to be able to co-sign or even encourage. But if we're going to talk about record for a second, okay, there are some things that we know that he has done But we also know that there are things that certain people vote on, specifically in the church, that he may not have touched at all, but they're going to vote for him based on those things. And sometimes I'm just a little confused as it relates.
Let's talk about that then.
Let's talk
about it. I want to talk about it. Hey, bro, you've entered the fray. This is where it's silent majority. We got something to say. Talk about it.
I just feel like it's kind of interesting. Like, for example, we all know that the two golden calves of Christianity when it comes to politics are going to be homosexual marriage, and it's also going to be abortion. Are you pro-life or not?
Right.
Okay. We know this. These are the two top things that most Christians, and dare I say, and I just had a conversation recently with one of my friends about this who's Puerto Rican. Dare I say, even some minorities, most minorities who are Puerto Rican and Spanish people, they're going to vote based on these two moral issues.
Yeah, because many of them grew up in Catholicism.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't matter what else is going on.
Right.
These two issues are going to reign supreme in people's voting for a Republican, right?
Right.
Now, here's the thing. I have to ask the people who voted because of those areas, what has his record shown in those two areas? He may have done some other great things, and that's awesome. And I'm not saying, I'll be the first one to admit, there are some things that Trump has done. We can't act like he's done nothing, right? But on the issues that you saw to be most important, voting your quote unquote faith content, where are the results on those issues?
Well, here's the thing. I don't believe at the heart of Donald Trump, he believes that two men or two women should not be married. I
100% agree with you on that. Because his moral compass is too flawed to agree.
Absolutely. And you know what? And honestly, I mean, we live in a country where people should be able to make their own decisions, choosing who they want to marry, all that kind of stuff. And I don't believe it in Donald Trump's heart. I don't care anything about his rhetoric. I don't believe in his heart that he believes that two men and two women should not be married. So I think that is one of those things that Donald Trump believes that, hey, if I can court the evangelicals on these things, like a big thing is hey y'all, I moved the embassy from Tel Aviv. I moved it to Jerusalem. Hey, I've done it. Right. I'm standing up, you gun-toting Christians, I'm standing up for your Second Amendment right. I'm standing up and I'm keeping charge. I want churches open, which is a big deal. I want churches open because if they can open up an abortion clinic, they can open up. And going on the abortion issue, I do know that when in the time that President Trump has been in office, I can't go. I have to do some more research to make sure to see if he was responsible with this. But I do know that in time that he's been there have been different court cases that really have been resolved in stating that some abortion clinics had to close down, that they were defunded in certain states, which meant that they had to close down. So I think even stories like that, it kind of gives those individuals who are staunchly pro-life that opportunity to say, this is what he's done. And if he hasn't done anything yet, then this is the opportunity in each night to be able to say, these are the things that I believe matter to you the most. So these are the ways that I'm moving you forward. And I agree wholeheartedly. I also believe that Southerners, one of the big issues amongst Southern conservatives is immigration. When you look at Texas, when you look at Arizona, when you look at places like that, one of the big issues they have is with immigration. So you heard tonight, we built the wall. We built the wall. we're the wall is going to be finished. The wall, because they're taking. And I'm quite sure you're going to hear it throughout the rest of the other 3 days. They're coming into our country. They're taking our jobs. We're not going to let them do it because that appeals to that Southern base. Now, when you have people up in Maine, Connecticut, Vermont, New York, Montana, places like that, who are like, well, I don't really see, they don't necessarily see the effects of border crossings, but they feel it later on. Their economy feels it and things like that, which, I'm one of those people. I fully believe that, hey, we need to reform the system and allow people to be able to come in. And then when they come in, they need to be able to have a path, a very easy and simple path towards freedom, towards citizenship, but just kind of, I'm not one of those kind of people that just says, hey, just build a wall and then just kind of keep everybody out. My thing is, if you're going to build a wall, you have to have a door, because Jesus was all about a door, not a wall.
Right.
And Jesus was all about a bridge. So, I get the whole concept, but tonight seemed like he was focusing on his constituency.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the focus of the RNC tonight was, let's reach out to independent voters. Because if it was, then it seemed as if their tactic was more scare tactic. Honest scare tactic, because they said some stuff now, well, they're gonna just defund the police and they're gonna send social workers out, and it's like, well, I've heard it, but here's the thing, I've heard people say it. Here's the thing I want to ask you though, Stephen, because this popped up a lot too. Vernon Jones, I'm here in Georgia, in the Metro Atlanta area. So I've followed Vernon Jones for many years. A Democrat, black man, stands up. He's saying some stuff. Also, the young lady, I can't think of her name, who she's running right now in Baltimore. Here's the thing I want to ask you about, Stephen. Both of them brought up this point of view about being black, an independent thinker, but then being ostracized for thinking independently and having their own mind. Do you feel like that's one of the major impediments